Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Morning Glory video. In today's episode we shall be continuing our review series of the 10th edition Imperial Guard Index. However, this time we will be reviewing a unit that seems much more at home in the Adeptus Mechanicus' index than our own. I am of course talking about everyone's favourite lobotomized human robo-slaves, the Munitorum Servitors. Historically, this unit has been bad. I mean, really bad. So awfully terrible that it wasn't even funny, it was just sad. And back in 9th edition, I labelled Munitorum Servitors as not only the worst unit in the Guard Codex, but the worst unit in all of Warhammer 40k. Clearly, the GW spy that lurks on this channel watched that video, because in 10th edition, Servitors are actually alright. Dare I say it, they're actually good. And with that rather controversial statement made, why don't we take a look at the changes to the Servitors, what makes them actually usable now, and dive right into today's video. As is tradition, we will begin with a brief overview of what the hell Servitors actually are. In the lore, Servitors are the robotic helpers of humanity that can be found in every area of society within the Imperium. They can be found in the underhives of sprawling metropolises as well as in the fields on Agriworld. Though very simple-minded, these cybernetic beings are incredibly important to the Imperium because they are much stronger than your typical man and will always do exactly as they are told. Little wonder then that they are found within the Imperial Guard. The Servitors attend the Departamento Munitorum in countless menial ways. These cybernetic living tools often form servile retinues for engine seers using their industrial servo arms to repair hulking tanks, but also unhesitatingly turning them on the foe should they draw too near. However, Servitors are also one of the most grimdark things in all of 40k. Because they're not simply robots or drones like the Tau use. They are in fact human beings who have been lobotomized against their will and forcibly augmented with cybernetics, often having nearly their entire body replaced with whirring servos and wires. In theory, only the worst criminals and recidivists are turned into these nightmarish automatons, but in reality, Imperial justice is cruel, unrelenting, and not really very fair at all. So more than a few innocent souls have found themselves trapped within a mind lock. Of course, all of this is merely the fluff. What about the crunch? How are Munitorum Servitors on the tabletop? Well, let us take a look at the unit stat line. To begin with, Servitors have got a movement of 6 inches, a toughness of 3, a 4+ save, 1 wound, leadership 8+, and a mighty OC of 0. That's right, they are physically incapable of holding objectives. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, that's not a great stat line. It's like a basic guardsman, but you take away the OC, you give him worse leadership, and sure, he's got a better bit of armor, but honestly, it's nothing to write home about. It's a slightly tougher but less brave human. So if the stat line isn't any good, where does this thing start picking up? Well, the weapons aren't too bad. Due to their enhanced strength, Servitors actually come with a plethora of special weapons, some of them which are semi-unique to them. For example, you get 4 Servitors in the squad, no more, no less, and every model comes equipped with a Servitor servo arm. This is actually a pretty decent close combat weapon. It's strength 6, it's AP -2, and it's a flat damage 3. Now, anyone who's watched this channel for a long period of time will know that I'm a big fan of flat damage 3. It really slaps. I love it on all of my heavy weapons. I love it on all of my tanks. It's so good. And the fact that the guard is just getting more access to various sources of damage 3 is really, really powerful. The number of times I've played a game where one of my battle cannons has fired at an enemy unit and they're like, okay, yeah, what's damage? Is that like 2 damage? And I say 3 damage, and their eyes visibly widen. They go, 3 damage, oof. So I'm not saying that Servitor's great, but having 3 damage is definitely nothing to be sniffed at. But we need to be honest with each other. They only get 1 attack each, and as standard, they only hit on a 5+. But we'll be improving that weapon skill significantly in just a moment, because it's not necessarily what the Servitors do on their own, it's how they pair with other things. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Like I said, all of your Servitors come with a servo arm, but 2 of them can swap out their servo arms for a close combat weapon and a heavy weapon. And they can take either a heavy bolter, a multi-melter, or a plasma cannon. All of these weapons are fairly standard issue. The heavy bolter fires 3 shots, strength 5, AP -1, damage 2. Multi-melter is 2 shots, strength 9, AP -4, damage 6, but half the range of the heavy bolter at an 18-inch range. And the plasma cannon, which I think is the real winner here, this is the one you want to be taking on your Servitors, has 2 profiles. You can either fire it in its standard configuration, where it is blast, heavy, 36-inch range, D3 shots at strength 7, AP -2, damage 1, or you can die like men, and you can be Billy Big Bollocks, and you can overcharge it, or supercharge as the new 10th edition terminology is, and overcharge is the old version back in 8th edition, but it's exactly the same thing. You can supercharge it, trying to go on a tangent more, I'll try my best. And that way you get D3 shots at strength 8, AP -3, damage 2. So your strength, AP, and damage are all increased by 1. Of course, if you do this, you will have to take a hazardous test. But if you fail the hazardous test, all that's going to happen is you lose a Servitor. And these things are almost the definition of disposable. Unfortunately, there is a bit of a fly in the ointment. And when I say fly, it's more like there is a giant blue bottle that has a small bit of ointment on it. Because the ballistic skill of these guys is shockingly bad. As standard, it starts off as BS 6+ on all the different weapons. Mordian glory, I hear you cry. You cur, you cad, you whoresome knave. You said these things were good. You've just lied to me. You are a bounder, dare I say a blackguard. Hang on, before you start saying words you're going to regret like Blighter, it's not about the base profile. As I said, it's what Servitors can combine with and some of the nifty tricks they have up their sleeves. To start off, we're going to improve that ballistic skill straight up by using the Mind Lock ability of the Servitor. While a friendly regimental engineer model is leading this unit, improve the ballistic skill and weapon skill characteristics of ranged and melee weapons equipped by Munitor and Servitor models in this unit by 1. Essentially, if there's a tech priest with them, they get +1 to hit. And you can combine this with the fact that those ranged weapons all have the heavy universal special rule, meaning that with just a simple bit of direction from a cogboy, they are going to be hitting on 4s. Now that is a vast improvement from the basic profile that you can see on the data card. But wait, there's more. Because Servitors have another special rule on the back of the data card, the same side that tells you about the weapon options and the unit composition. And this is called Servitor Retinue. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but it's amazing. And once you understand this rule, you begin to realize how tasty Servitors can be. How it reads is, at the start of the Declare Battle Formation step, this unit can join one other unit from your army that is being led by a regimental engine seer. A unit cannot have more than one Munitor and Servitors unit joined to it. If it does, until the end of the battle, every model in this unit counts as being part of that bodyguard unit, and that bodyguard unit's starting strength is increased accordingly. In layman's terms, what this means is you can take a 20-man blob of infantry of your choice, Death Corps or regular infantry or cadres, whatever you prefer, and when you have your Tech Priest Engineer leading that blob of infantry, you can add a unit of servitors to that as well. So you could have a 25-man blob of infantry and then add on another character, because infantry squads are allowed to have 2 leaders and the servitors don't count as a leader, and you could add on a command squad, allowing you to quite easily have a 30-man Giga Blob, all benefiting from the feel no pain of the command squad, and also, most importantly, able to benefit from the orders of the command squad, such as take aim or fix bayonets. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and if you're watching this video and you're not certain, check the comment section down below, because I'm sure someone would have let me know if I'm wrong on this. But I believe that you can stack multiple ballistic skill and weapon skill modifiers, but you can't stack multiple to hit roll modifiers. What I mean by this is, I believe that the mind lock ability of the servitor, which improves your ballistic skill and weapon skill, can be combined with the take aim order or the fixed bayonets order that increase your weapon skill or ballistic skill, again by +1, because you're essentially altering that datasheet rather than modifying the dice roll. This would mean that your servitors, if they are staying still with a tech priest, with the take aim order, which they can now receive because they're part of a squad with the regiment keyword, would be getting +3 to hit. So that heavy bolter, that multi-melt, that plasma cannon that began on a 6+ to hit is now on a 3+ to hit. And you might be thinking to yourself, but I've got to stay still. Well, if you don't stay still, you're still hitting on a 4+, which is fine. And also you can combine these Munitorum servitors and all this kind of stuff with an infantry squad, a regular infantry squad, which is already going to be taking things like heavy bolters or other heavy weapons that are going to want to stand still. And if you're already planning on taking a 20-man infantry squad that you are going to park on an objective, maybe sit next to one of your more longer range tanks such as a Rogue or Dawn, and have that unit just provide additional fire support, it's hard to go wrong with taking a Tech Priest Agency, which you probably want to boost the Dawn with the invulnerable save anyway, sticking him in the infantry squad, and then adding the servitors in there as well, so that you can get even more long-range DACA into your support unit. But it's not just long-range firepower where this works. Servitors are surprisingly competent in close combat. Each one has got 1 attack, but with the mind lock ability, with the fact they can receive orders like fixed bayonets, they actually get hit on 3s. And you can combine this with Catachan jungle fighters, because your regimental engineer can join them. And your Catachans are going to want to be stuck in combat anyway. And if you're taking Catachans, there's a good chance you're going to be thinking about including Strachan as well. And you can make a legitimately threatening close combat Catachan blob, because suddenly Strachan's abilities start overlapping with the Catachan abilities, which start overlapping with Mind Lock, which start overlapping with Fixed Bayonets, and those servitors are going to be hitting on 3s with Strength 7 attacks, with extra AP, and it just starts to snowball into this unit that's putting out a hell of a lot of very, very punchy attacks. And don't forget, you've got the Engineer himself, which also gets 2 servo arm attacks and also has the Omnisyrax. And if a single Sentinel dies near the Engineer, he starts getting double his attacks. Strachan's no slouch in combat. What I'm trying to say in this long, rambling, riffing rant is you can make a combat blob with servitors. Hopefully you can see that servitors are not as bad as that initial profile might suggest. I'm not saying they're an S tier unit or anything like that, but they're certainly vastly improved from their 9th edition iteration. But I know some people are going to remain unconvinced. After all, this is a 35-point unit where you get 4 dudes. and you have to buy the tech piece as well to start making them work. So that's another 45 points. So realistically, you're looking at an 80-point investment to get this unit halfway to where it needs to be. But the Servitors have one more trick hidden up their synthetic sleeves. And this is something which I'm seeing almost no one talking about. I didn't realize they could do this until someone on my tech piece video pointed it out to me. Ishmael Manora, if you're watching this, thank you for enlightening me because it completely changed my opinion on the Servitors. The trick is that Servitors can respawn as part of the reinforcement stratagem. Take a look at the wording on that Servitor retinue ability. At the start of the declared battle step formation, this unit can join one other unit from army that is being led by a regimental engineer. If it does, until the end of the battle, every model in this unit counts as being part of that bodyguard unit, and that bodyguard unit's starting strength is increased accordingly. Essentially, they become part of the blob. They are indistinguishable from the guardsman models that are in there for rules and purposes. They are wearing the flak armor, they're screaming Cadia stands, they're holding the line. Those Servitors are as much a part of that blob as the special weapon gunners, as the heavy weapon gunners, as the sergeants. So yeah, it might seem kind of pricey to spend 35 points on a unit of Servitors, but if you're already taking the tech piece, if you're already expecting this unit to get blown away once and need to be recycled, then actually each time you use reinforcements, you're halving the cost of those Servitors. Even if you just do it once, you're making them much, much more efficient. And reinforcements is by far one of the most powerful abilities that Guard has got access to right now. Any way that you can make it better is just the cherry on top. Of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think that Servitor retinue and its sneaky tricks make them a actually good unit? Or are they still going to be spending this edition on your shelf? Of course, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. And I just want to say, if you found today's video particularly helpful or informative, then please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. By supporting the channel, you will not only be helping me create more content, but unlocking loads of perks for yourself, including access to the Mordian Glory Discord server. This is an online community with over 2,000 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We have got channels for army lists, tactics, hobbying, painting, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. And I just want to take a moment to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. You truly are the lifeblood of this channel, and I could not do Mordian Glory full time without your generous support. And last, but certainly not least, I want to say a personal, special, heartfelt thank you to all of my top tier supporters. These are the War Masters, the people that have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a massive thank you to Bon Bon Vert, Ken Starr, Mark Panconi, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nicholas Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Thank you guys. Your ongoing and incredibly generous support makes a huge, huge difference, and I am eternally grateful to each and every single one of you. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.